Welcome to the Good Rookies podcast. My name is Fahim.
And my name is Nellie J, y'all. And we are Good Rookies.
That's right.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Good Tuesday. And guess what? It's episode 72.
72.
Y'all, happy 2022 to all you beautiful folks out there. That's right. It is now the first Tuesday, the first good Tuesday of the new year. And Fahim, I'm so happy we have this phenomenal returning guest. This man knows all the things about basketball, #fundamentals. So Fahim, please introduce who we got.
Like you said, we have a returning guest, and it's great to have him back. He's our podcast family, I have to say. Always great. And every time we do meet up with him, there's always something new coming up with him. It's great to see his growth. Let's welcome Sheldon Cassimy, the podcast today.
Sheldon. Woo, Sheldon, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm here. I'm healthy, and it's good to start the new year off being the first guest on the show.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Well, Sheldon, before we get into the episode, I got to ask you a question because you're in the sports world in Canada. A lot of people know you, athletes, players, athletes, whoever, coaches, you name it, personnel. And I never really got to speak to someone in Canada how COVID has affected their sport. So I know we're talking about it more CBL, but you coached during this pandemic. Any differences you saw coaching pre-pandemic and now during the pandemic? Anything that they want to highlight for the folks? I think we're like, oh, these are athletes are playing out there, but I'm sure you see things that we don't see and how much it's affected your job as a coach.
So it's weird how quickly, we kind of adapt to whatever our circumstances are usually, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, probably the first game during the pandemic where it was like, there's no fans. Like, whoa, this is weird. And even some of the players were saying like it's hard for them to kind of get up for the game. Their energy isn't the same because, there's no crowd, nobody booing them, nobody cheering for them, whatever the case is, right? From a coaching standpoint, that part didn't really affect me. But then became like actually during the middle of our CEBL season, it just went from no fans to fans. And I think that first game when there was fans, some of the players got really excited for the game. Some of the players were kind of thrown off by it. Some of the coaches were kind of thrown off by it because we're like, oh man, we actually have to really yell now again. So those kind of things did make a bit of a difference. Obviously, you have all the testing and things like that you need to do, but and even being on the court with a mask on, it's pretty difficult. But yeah, those were really the main changes. But you know how it goes with sports. Once you get on the court or the field, whatever it is, you kind of just adapt and you kind of lock in, and you kind of go to your instincts anyway. So it's just been a blessing that we have been able to participate during the pandemic. We have been able to have our leagues going on. It may not be like exactly how it was before, but still a blessing to be able to have it.
That's dope. Well, we appreciate you guys. Honestly, I will say I have a soft spot for athletes and coaches because, your job is personal contact, and the crowds, like you said, amps up you, coach, like players, everyone, staff. So also people losing their jobs, right? Now it's that Scotiabank Arena, ACC, whatever. Then around 10,000 capacity. I heard doctors in Ontario were upset that they even had a Raptors game with people in the stands. So lots of controversy, but I'm happy that you're able to do your job because it's important for these kids, right? And you're definitely making a difference. So we're going to highlight more of you and for the culture, but I'm going to pass the mic to Fahim because we're going to get to some hot topics before that. Go ahead, Fahim.
All right. So it's great that you mentioned about coaching. Sheldon, you do on different levels. You do Canadian University at McMaster. And also you do Canadian Professional at the Canadian Elite Basketball League in Canada also. for the Hamilton Honey Badgers. So as we get to for the culture, we'll definitely be able to get in a lot deeper in regards to what you have to bring for that. But we have a lot of CEBL, Canadian Elite Basketball players, that have been called up for NBA action due to the whole COVID situation. We should definitely want to highlight them, and you would have some insight in regards to it actually being affiliated with the league. Do you want to kind of elaborate for us in regards to with these players coming up, what kind of effect that may have for the league? What I want to do just real quickly is so far, and this is a fluid situation, so if I'm off with this, correct me, but there's 4 players so far that have NBA contracts so far. So it goes, Xavier Sneed has a 10-day contract, and he played in the CEBL. All these players I'm listing have been in the Canadian Elite Basketball League, okay? So Xavier Sneed is one 10-day. Another one is a Javian Delorier for the Niagara River Lions. He's another one. Cat Barber, he plays for the Guelph Nighthawks. And Xavier Moon, who plays for the Edmonton Stingers, and he signed with the Bucks. Oh, sorry, my apologies. Let me reel that back because it goes, the first one I listed was for the Bucks, second one for the Hawks, and Xavier Moon, last one is for the LA Clippers. So, you're an insider with this. What do you think?
Man, I think it's great for the league. I actually think the CEBL league is actually pretty high level in terms of the players. And when you really think about it, I mean, you're getting all of these guys who would normally be the import players in their overseas leagues, like Spain, first division, Spain, second division, Spain, third division, whatever, Ukraine, wherever it is. They're all coming in, they're all playing in one league. So it's like, it's not like it's like an easy league. You have all these guys who would normally be the imports, who would be the star of their team, and now they're all on one team. So I think, it's kind of just getting out there that, the league, obviously the league is growing, but the league is pretty high level. And we do get a good amount of guys who play in the G League who will come and play, because the league's in the summertime, right? So it's in the off season. I think it's positioned perfectly. And so yeah, we do get some high level players, and guys are improving also, right? Xavier Moon is one of them. Like, he's good, man.
Really? So like, what about him is what about him makes him to you stand out compared to the other guys in the league? Like, what's his like pro skill, would you say, like he's really good at?
I think he has. Okay, so this will kind of help you guys to maybe put some kind of picture to it. We actually all know his uncle.
Right. Yeah.
You're a Toronto Raptors fan.
Right.
From way before, his uncle, Mario Moon.
Right.
So he has the speed, the athleticism, and I mean, he's a guard, he's a point guard. So he's like, we have these cameras that are like automated cameras, and he's always beating the camera down the court. Like, the cameras can't keep up with it. So he's fast. He gets out really well. He has good jump shot on him, mid-range jump shot, 3-point jump shot. He creates for his teammates. So I think he's really good. He's a 2-time MVP in CEBL, and easily, like, it's just hard for me to admit, but he easily like won the league last season. So he's really good, and he's been playing in the G League, and he's been playing really well in the G League. So I was happy that he was able to get his call up, and he got into the game the other day, and he played maybe 10, 12 minutes or so, and 0 turnovers. He got 2 points, 1 assist, rebound. So I mean, I think it's good. It's good, and there's lots of guys. Javian Delorier, he's another guy who played at Duke, and he came down. He played River Lions, played in summer league as well. So he's another guy who's offensive rebound machine, has some ability to block shots. So there's good guys. Good guys.
So what's the difference? Because like I've seen Xavier Moon play once. CBC had aired some games, and I can't remember which game it was, but I'd seen him, and I was pretty impressed. He did seem like he was a little bit head and shoulders above everyone else. I don't know, did he win an MVP or did he have some kind of award that he won during the CEBL, Fonda?
Yeah, two-time MVP.
Two-time MVP. Okay. Because I remember watching him and seeing that he had. You're right. He was very quick. I'm just wondering, since you've been. Oh no, you're thinking. Go ahead. I'll let you think.
Three-time league MVP.
Three-time. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So every league around, he's won the MVP.
Okay, so that actually speaks to something, because we have somebody in the CEBL who's an elite player. He's good enough to play in the G League. So in G League, they're on the cusp of getting into an entry into the league. What do you think he would have to do to stay and be more than just a 10-day? And mind you, I know a lot of things have to work in your favor, but the margin for error is probably very slim. That separates them. But I'm just wondering.
It's a very good question, and I don't always seem to have all the answers, because every GM and scout kind of thinks differently. I think it's tough to say it. Like for some guys, they get to a certain point where they're good enough, but they might be 25, right? So sometimes they'd rather take a guy who's 19, who's just as good, you know what I mean? And say, okay, well, we can groom him, or we can kind of, he has more potential. I don't remember exactly how old Xavier is, but I think that's probably one of the things that's kind of may hold him back. Obviously, you still see sometimes where, there's guys who play overseas for a while and then they come back and, they get a chance. But I think that's probably the major thing that's holding him back. Like, he's not as young anymore as, the guys who are going to be first-round draft picks or whatever the case is. And, I mean, the league has kind of moved to where they like the bigger point guards. They want the 6'3", 6'4" point guards now.
And Fahim. And Fahim. Sorry. Fahim loves big point guards. Like Doug Franda. Like, if you're a small point guard, you got to do a lot to impress this guy over
here. Right, exactly. So that's the other thing, that's probably half or 60% of the GMs also, right? They don't usually want a 6'1" point guard. They want a 6'3", 6'4". So that could be part of it as well. But I'm a little, I guess I'm biased, but I'm not really big on he needs to be able to be 3 inches taller. Like, as long as you're able to get the job done. But hey, I'm not a GM in the NBA or anything yet. So
yet.
Yeah, well, you never know what goes, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I have another.
Sorry, I want to say something. I want to shout out CEBL, because I was looking up it earlier, and it's like no other Canadian league got players during this pandemic era to the NBA. The NBL, no players. During the 10-day contract, I looked it up. I didn't see any. Did you find any?
So that's what I'm saying.
Okay, cool.
Technically, Xavier Moon, he's kind of shared between the CEBL and the NBL Canada. He did do some time there also.
Okay, all right.
So
I didn't know that.
They're both claiming him.
But what's funny? Right. But what's funny though? What's funny though, Fahim, is that when I googled CEBL players to NBA, like recently, articles came out about them under CEBL, but there's no articles around NBL. You know what I'm saying? So even though, keep in mind, Fahim, NBL didn't have a league last year. Remember that? We had the commissioner on the podcast. So that's why, unfortunately, NBL, you weren't around. So you don't get the credit, because the last league he played in was the CEBL. So that credit goes to them.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay. I have one last thing on this, actually. So these are ball players, and this is a job. And part of your job is, like in any job, you have a resume, right? What kind of these players that are getting promoted and having an NBA team even added to the resume after when this 10 days done, if nothing even happens from it, what kind of impact does even being on a 10-day have for these players going forward? Does it really help their stock because they can go to another team and say, hey, you know what, at least if this NBA team had value in this player, perhaps we might want this player also. You know what I mean? Does it really give a big bump into their future potential job opportunities, maybe not in the NBA, but maybe elsewhere in Europe?
Yeah, I think so. You know, whenever the teams overseas can see, okay, well, he has NBA interest, they usually think he's pretty good. So he'll probably be able to get up in a higher league overseas if he does choose to go back overseas instead of playing in the G League. And his pay will probably go up. His pay is probably going to go up in the CEBL this summer if he chooses to come back. Because that's a big accolade, right? Like if you're able to get a 10-day contract, there's lots of guys who play in the G League for years that don't get 10-day contracts. And I was kind of, trying to say before that I'm hoping, and I'm still kind of biased towards my Hamilton Honey Badgers team, that I'm hoping that my guy Lindell Wigginton gets a chance. But it's all about timing, and it's about what you do, how you perform in front of certain people. Sometimes they want to see you live and see how you perform. But yeah, it definitely makes a big difference, to be able to get a 10-day contract.
Nice. I'm familiar with Lindell Whittington. He's from Nova Scotia, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. He's a baller. I've seen him play. Very nice. I also want to shout out Oddly Stevenson also. I know they were away, his league, but it's still Canadian basketball regardless. So
yeah, shout out to you. He's dope. I wasn't knocking him. I'm just saying that you can't be
hold
claiming
on.
players that
I just want. I get you.
Okay.
Yeah, no shade at all.
Listen.
He's a good guy, man.
Oddly's an amazing guy.
Oddly is
Be audacious.
Awesome. And also, like, to me, like, even Oddly was on the podcast, he said he's happy you guys have that league too, the CEBL, because he's like, because at the end of the day, it pushes competition. I think when you're the only league of one kind, especially in a market like Canada, they can get stagnant. So having competition, plus it's different times anyway. And I think for athletes in Canada, we get ballers out here, but they don't get jobs in the States, right? So for them to be able to play in NBL, play in CEBL or international, I'm just happy that we're paying athletes money to play ball. You know what I'm saying? Because those guys are as important as any other job. So it's just really dope. But no, shout out to those players that made it to the NBA. I read a quote of a player, I forgot his name, but he said that even though it's a 10-day contract, he still cried. Putting on an NBA jersey for him, he's like, I worked so hard. And so he's like, I don't care what happens after this, but he's like, I worked so hard to even get here. Those 10 days is like heaven for them. So congrats to everyone that was called up. Even though on Clubhouse, I kind of was like, who's this guy playing for the Raptors? I get it, bro. No, I'm just saying congrats to y'all, but a lot of teams are going down. Ricky Rubio went down today for him. If you saw this today, so I'm sure they're calling up because their point guards now are just like, they got no one. Sexton's out, Ricky Rubio's out, and Garland's got COVID. So it's 3 point guards for the Cavaliers that are now gone. So let's see who they call up. Hopefully another CEBL player. Hopefully. Right. And plus the Cavs are, Cleveland's close to Toronto. Well, what, a couple hour drive? So 8-10 hour drive. So hey, we're not too far. So anyway, but no, that's really dope for you. How did you feel seeing these guys called up, Fonda? Like, were you shocked? Like, were you happy? Like, what emotions did you go through seeing guys that you were kind of coaching or seeing in the tournaments or in CEBL being called up?
It's weird. I now that you asked me, I wasn't shocked.
Okay.
I wasn't shocked because, well, for one, I knew, the call-ups were going to start happening. But I think because I kind of have already heard the murmurs or who, the GMs kind of like and who they have their eye on.
Okay.
Like I knew that Xavier Sneed was one of the guys that a lot of the GMs like as a 3-and-D guy. I knew Javin Delorier, he played at Duke already, so everybody kind of already knows him. And I know that he was playing well in the G League this year as well. So I guess it wasn't that much of as much of a shock. And I think Javin Deloyer was the first one. So once I saw that, it's like, okay, now I'm just like, okay, more guys need to get a shot. Like, come on, get more guys a shot. And of course, I saw that Xavier Moon was playing really well, and so when he got his, again, it wasn't a shock. It was kind of like, okay, yeah, it's about time. Like, good. So I'm happy. I'm happy for them. Most of them I don't really know them personally, but just coaching against them, seeing them, and they're good dudes. So I'm happy for them.
That's so
nice. So Nelly J, I think it's about that time where we go to For the Culture.
For the culture, we like to highlight individuals for the culture. And today, we get to highlight my brother from another mother. That's right, y'all. Sheldon Cassimy.
That's right.
This man will act all humble, like, oh, no. He is a past baller, and he's been coaching for at least a decade, at minimum a decade now. So, he's recently joined the McMaster basketball team as a full-time lead assistant. He also is assistant coach for the Hamilton Honey Badgers. On top of that, he also helped with Team Canada, Team Canada, and he also is also coaching in the past with the Brampton A's team in the National Basketball League of Canada as well. Sheldon Cassimy, #fundamentals, attended and played at Birmingham University, where he helped his team win 4 conference champions, y'all. Okay, so this man knows what winning means. And not only has he played, but also is helping other people win, right? I know the Hamilton Badgers, they got, I think, bronze, right? Last summer. Is that correct, Funda? Or is it this summer when they ended up 3rd place? Look at your face.
When it's not even first, I don't even remember anymore.
Yeah, I think it was last summer. It's okay, I got you. But yeah, no, but it's so dope. So Sheldon, you're someone that I think in Toronto, people don't even, I think most ballers, like if you play basketball in Canada, you know how fun Sheldon is. Like you're like, oh, this guy, yeah, everyone knows Sheldon is. But I think for a lot of the casual basketball fans, the folks who don't really follow the scene in Canada, they're unaware of what we have talented in Canada. So walk us through, because I know you were coaching, you stopped coaching. What about basketball made you want to just pursue a career in it, to kind of actually want to coach and mentor from the grassroots level up to professionals?
This is a great question. I don't usually, I'm not usually asked this question. It kind of starts from like just me as a person. And I started realizing this just as I reflect, but even as a teenager in high school, I knew I wasn't going to be one of the ones who go to the NBA or who get a Division I scholarship, but I was always hopeful for my friends, and I would actually go and support my friends at their games, and just to kind of be there and to be supportive and to be like, yo, you could do this better, you could do that better. And I was always still a student of the game, right? And I think that just kind of went with me. The main one who I was always with, Janelle, you probably know, is Nathaniel Mitchell, who's now an assistant coach with the Toronto Raptors. And I was just always with him, and anything that he was learning, I was trying to learn. Anything he was saying, I was trying to learn, and also just vice versa, trying to be there for him as much as I could as well. And I think that's kind of where it started. And he kind of had the idea hey, let's train some kids when we were both still in university, and kind of just like a side job during the summer. And it kind of just stuck with us, and it kind of just kept growing from there. And I think even before that, I volunteer coach at church team, and Corey Joseph ended up being on our team.
I remember that. Yep.
Whoa, this kid's pretty good, and I was like, let me help him as much as I can.
He coached Corey Joseph. That's right, y'all. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just random stuff like that just kind of kept happening, and it just kind of grew my love for coaching, for developing. And yeah, I did I did stop for a bit after I stopped at the weirdest time. I was coaching at Ryerson University. We won the OUA championship that year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we actually beat Carleton University in the Ontario Conference Championship. Unfortunately, we got bronze at nationals. But after that year, you just kind of sometimes you think, I could probably make a little bit more money doing something else. And I'm getting a little older. Let me see if I could make some more money doing this. And it was not the best choice for me.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, it actually kind of made me realize how much I need to coach. Like it's a part of me,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm able to help others. I'm able to, help out this guy who thinks that, he has the ability to make good money as a professional or make it to the NBA, and I'm able to, just help them as much as I can with, okay, well, here we can work on this, we can work on that. Watching film with them, just certain things to be able to help other people to reach their goals. And that's really what the core of it is for me. It's weird because I almost focus on that more than I focus on me achieving my own goals, but that's really what it is, for me, just wanting to help others, to, you know, realize their dreams and to meet their dreams.
Well, no, that's dope. I mean, I remember I met Funda when he was like, I think 11 or 12, and I was like 14, 15. But I've known Funda for a long time. So seeing the kid that you were to the man that you've become, but also the fact that now you understand this is my gift. Like I'm kind of good at this stuff, right? And also understanding that you're there to serve from the grassroots level to pro. Because some guys, all they care about is helping the pros, getting the fame. But you're like, no, I'm gonna help anyone that needs my help, and if I can help you like get the fundamentals of basketball instilled in you at a young age, pay me some money, I'm gonna get you there. So for all the parents looking for their kids to help them, expand, y'all better check out my boy Sheldon Cassimy.
Well, definitely want to congratulate you for all the moves that you've been making. There has been, so I have a question, and it's kind of for the floor. I think we should actually address with this. There's been a report by the Canadian Press that states that Ontario University sports are overwhelmingly white, a report finds. And the report is by the Ontario University Athletics report that they found, okay? The reason why I feel this is very relevant is you've actually bucked the trend according to what's going to this report. So I just want to kind of read some quick quotes from this report, what they find. And then we can actually discuss and see how, or any insight you might have being on the outside of this report, okay? So first of all, the report finds that, and this is a quote, for white identified OUA members, the path to obtain a position as a head coach or leader within administration appeared smooth, the report reads. Most were either offered a position without a formal interview or explicitly encouraged to apply, end quote. Another quote, all racialized coaches were former players who had volunteered, worked part-time, completed education, or assisted in for many years, with few ever ascending to a head coaching role. That's another part from the quote, from this report. And unlike this is another quote, unlike their white colleagues, they lived under excessive scrutiny and fear of being reprimanded from their coaches' positions. I just want to give one last quote here. It has to do with the funding system of how they get to, or what's in place before. The funding system, this is a quote, the funding system into university for sports relied heavily on private schools, clubs, and pay-to-play systems, the report reads. Each of these methods overwhelmingly selected athletes from middle to upper class families with opportunities and resources available to succeed in university and sport. So and once again, this report is by the Ontario University Athletics. So which has been rebranded because they were called OUA, and now they go by U Sports. Now this is a fairly recent report, October 25th, 2021. So this is current now. So I think this is actually beautiful timing right now that we have someone like you who is coaching at McMaster, under youth sports and you are non-white. So first, congratulations, because you are not an affirmative action hire. You actually have, according to this report here, you've taken all the proper steps to get to where you are. So you're not there because of by your color, but the work you put in. So first of all, salute to that. But according to this report, which I'm actually glad, because usually when it deals with race, we don't really get the real. They actually divulged a lot of the real that was happening behind the scenes with OUA. I just want to know, according to some of the quotes in this, how does it feel being a coach who is kind of bucked the trend?
Okay, so let me just make a quick clarification. So the OUA is the Ontario University Association. It's the conference that is in youth sports. So it's just the Ontario conference. So there's still the I should know this better off the top of my head, but there's still the 4 of the conferences that are across Canada that are under youth sports.
Okay, so youth sports are above it and the 4 are below it. Okay, gotcha.
Got you.
Okay. Yeah, it's like the NBA, and then
like 4 divisions. Yeah.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah, conferences. Okay, division. Okay.
So within Ontario, yeah, like from what I've seen in the past, what I've kind of grown up seeing, and this is probably a huge part of the reason why most of the young players coming up they don't really aspire to play in Canada, is because it was very white, and those coaches would be coaching for 20 years, like even if they're losing, right? So yeah, it does feel good that they are trying to make changes, and they are actually acknowledging that this is an issue that was happening in our conference. And yeah, it feels good to be a part of it, and I hope to be able to continue to be a part of it, to continue to do well. I think that's the biggest part. Once you get in, you have to do well in order to to stay around and not get scrutinized more than, I guess, the coach who's been losing for 20 years that still has their job, right? But
that happens in the NBA.
Yeah,
that happens in the NBA too. So I can imagine at the college level, university level, what you see, because there's been less temperament for Black or brown coaches versus white coaches. We all seen it in professional, but it's crazy because like I remember being coached by amazing Black coaches that would spin circles in university coaches, like circles to them, no ball. So it's interesting that a lot of the coaches that I was coached by, I know some of them worked with like Seneca and other colleges, but never really got a job above that. And I'm wondering like what Fahim was reading about, if they apply for jobs. Who knows? They could apply for jobs for him, but because they didn't know certain people who know certain people, they didn't get the job. So nepotism is also a thing too, right? So
I'm also wondering in regards to the recruiting process. It might be a little bit different also. Is there something, possibly you being a Black coach, that a strategy that you're maybe looking to maybe recruit that maybe wasn't around before?
In terms of recruiting now, like, it's kind of led by our head coach, Patrick Tatum, who's also Black male. I believe, I'm 99.9% sure he's actually also the first Black head coach to win Coach of the Year, the year that we coached together at Ryerson.
Yeah, I remember that.
That wasn't really mentioned that he was the first Black one, but I think it's probably pretty obvious that, hey, you're the first Black one to win it, because just how the OUA and how Canada has been, right? But he wants the best players. Like, he wants the best players that he can get, whether they're Black, white, Filipino, whatever they are. We're just looking for the best players. And, obviously, basketball is a big sport in the urban community, in the Black community. So you're going to get a good amount of Black kids. And with those kids, we are hoping to make sure that, not only are they getting a degree, but they're also just developing as Black men as well, with good role models in front of them. That doesn't usually, that's not really the norm, right? So that is something that we have in mind that, we want to be able to do. But still, just trying to put together the best team possible and being there for all the players, right? I think that's kind of why me and we call him PT. That's why me and PT get along so well, because, at the end of the day, we really just want to be able to help all the players that we have, no matter what color they are, to be able to achieve their goals. And I think that's how it should be across the board. Not only just for your race, but, just equality, everybody treating each other equally and trying to get the best out of everybody.
Yeah, no, it's true. And, I've had some racist coaches growing up. I went to public school in Scarborough, and I've had to deal with some of them, where like, I should be starting, but because I'm not blonde or whatever, I'm off the bench or certain stuff like that. I've seen it happen, so even but I think for like, so it's really interesting, right? Because it's like, I'm not starting, but I'm coming on the court within 2 minutes, right? It's like, it's really a lot of, especially if someone's parents are paying money to the school, that happens too. So like, if your parent is donating a lot of money to your sports program and so forth, their kids get a lot of advantages that other kids do not get. There's so much politics in sports. Parents are involved in that. Parents' influence is involved in that. So, I'm just happy that we have more coaches like you, Funda, out there that are mentoring these kids, that are changing the narrative. Because I wouldn't want someone being discouraged from playing a sport because they're dealing with someone that only likes them because they're good. Yeah, you're Black, but you know what? Like you really get the sport, so I'm gonna coach you. But it's like, but do you like me as a person, or is it because I'm? You know what I mean? It's like it's a thin line, And I think for him, that one college coach who got fired for calling his players monkeys, like we see all of this happening so many in the sports world, and that's why when anything is really white, I'm concerned about my Black people. You know what I'm saying? But hold up, because that means that people of color aren't getting those opportunities, right? In those spaces. So I'm just hoping that more and more people like yourself who play in these sports can coach in that space as well. You know what I'm saying? So congrats to you, man.
Definitely. One last thing on the way out of this. I just realized that it must be, I'd probably say maybe more challenging being a Canadian university coach to recruit than it would be the States. Because obviously, as we know, United States, you have scholarships. I understand that. The focus, I guess, being a Canadian coach would have to be student athletes. Because first of all, you have to have somebody who's, if they're going to play for a Canadian university basketball team, athletics has to be the main part of the equation first, because no one's thinking like one and done, or play and try and get over to Europe. If you're going to play in Canada, chances are it's got to be education and getting and must be actually kind of the balance of getting somebody who can play ball but also can hold it down in the classroom. Also, that takes a specific type of person to begin with. So I understand the challenge that is ahead, but I'm glad, like you'd mentioned, how things are changing. This report's showing that things are changing, and you're at the forefront at it. So we got to salute you for that and support you in any way we can. So great job, Thunder.
And again, this is why I love being able to come on the show, because I'm able to kind of maybe help change the narrative a little bit. Whereas, like you kind of just mentioned that, most of the guys who we'd be recruiting, they usually aren't thinking that they're going to be able to play overseas. But for one, almost all of the guys think that they'll still be able to play overseas.
That's the
sometimes just being young and not fully understanding the landscape. But there is a good amount of players from Canada that do end up having really good careers overseas.
Sorry. So
And
Fonda, when I was saying that, I was thinking of players like in the States, you have like the one and dones or people who aren't concerned with their 4-year graduation, maybe before they finish school and then going. Is that happening here also, where people like guys are getting to like the second, third year and saying, okay, I'm going to go overseas. I'm not going to concern with finishing my degree. That's that's kind of the lane I was going
That's a
in.
good question, Dolphine. Good question.
Yeah, not as often.
Okay.
You'll still get some of the guys who kind of think that they should leave after a year or two and go, but I don't really know many of those success stories.
Right.
Like there could be some, I don't know. But no, generally they stay for the 4
years, right? Okay.
In U Sport, you get 5 years, so some of them stay for the 5 years, and they play, and there's a good amount of them that have decent professional careers. Some of them are even on our national team. But it does make it more difficult because yes, you do have to. It's still a bit different. So, McMaster University is one of the top universities in the world. It's in like the top 75, I think it is. So it's difficult to get in. And so, when we're recruiting players, it's like we have to remember, okay, they need to have this
Grades.
85 average if they want to get into this program.
Right.
Yeah, it makes it difficult. You can't just see a player and say, hey, he's good, I'm going to recruit him. Like you have to do all the
other stuff behind it.
Right. And everything.
I'm going to ask you, Fonda. Sorry, I don't cut you off, but I want to ask you a quick question. How is the sports scholarships like for athletes in the universities? Because I know we're talking about recruiting, but do they get any compensation? I know in the States they get it, but is that something that you think, are people pushing for that at these universities? Or do you think, I know Quebec has it, but what about the other Ontario universities? Look at your face. You're like, I had to ask.
Okay, so again, I love being on here because I get to be very candid and open. So the way that's kind of set up is, if you're one of the schools in Ontario, the OUA, you don't get as much money for scholarships to give to the kid. You'll get, I think it's $4,500 to $5,000 that goes towards your tuition or whatever the case is. Obviously, you could still kind of, set them up with jobs on campus to be able to help compensate.
Okay, cool.
But I think they try to even out the playing field by not giving the OUA schools as much money for scholarship as you would if you were at UBC. Like I think at UBC you probably get everything paid for.
See.
At least your full tuition would get paid for. I could be wrong. I know you get more money.
Get more money. Yeah. So you're saying that the competition for these athletes amongst conferences are even tight because depending on what you can give the athlete, they may want to play in UBC versus okay.
So I'm under the impression that Simon is it? No.
That's interesting. I didn't know.
I'm drawing a blank
today.
I'm drawing a blank at the school. I wanted to say no, it's not SFX. Who's the one that Simon Fraser?
Simon Fraser.
Simon Fraser. Are they the one that gives a full scholarship in Canada still, or is that kind of an urban myth?
They're NCAA Division 2 now, I think.
Oh, they're really? Oh, yeah. So that's why they
so that's right. Okay. Fair enough.
So hold up. So how many universities are NCAA Division team like schools? Do we have like a couple? Like just only one?
I think it's just that one.
Just Simon Fraser. Okay.
So if you again, I didn't know they were NCAA, but y'all we're learning a lot from Fonda today. Sheldon, sorry, that's why we're here.
I'm still learning some of this stuff too because, we kind of have the bias over here when we're in Ontario or even Toronto. Sometimes you only just pay attention to here, right? So I'm trying to learn more of what's kind of going on across Canada because there's some really good programs across Canada. Alberta, University of Alberta has been doing really good. University of Calgary. So just trying to kind of learn more of those other programs and how things kind of work around in that landscape as well too.
Okay.
One last thing I want to mention. So I'm pretty sure it's
one last.
Yeah, no, one last. I'm pretty sure it's TSN they they for as the Vanier Cup, right? For Canadian football, right? So, they're supportive of that. I'm not quite seeing, and they may have a partnership. I'm not saying they don't, but I'm just saying I'm not seeing the same type of maybe coverage for basketball the way I am for football.
Right, call him out. Call him out.
Do you see possibly anything that's happening up the pipeline where they might be maybe, if there is any type of support for basketball on television, maybe growing more? Do you see that happening, or do you know a reason why football is so like? I know. Sorry, I understand the football aspect because we have the CFL, and that is the breeding ground for the CFL. So that totally makes sense for them to be involved. We don't have that same type of infrastructure for basketball. But I know CBC has affiliation with CEBL. So I'm just wondering if there's some kind of university professional way in basketball where we can get more people actually involved. Because I'm guilty as charged. I haven't watched Canadian university basketball in forever. You are not giving me a reason more. This conversation is giving me more reason to say, okay, you know what? Let me see what's going on more with it. Is there something else that they're doing for people, casual people such as myself, who maybe not going to follow it all the way through, but at certain times will be interested in looking it up? I know it's kind of a long question. Go ahead, Funda.
So I know for the national tournament that they usually show at least the bronze medal game and the finals.
Okay.
I feel like they should be showing the whole thing.
Yeah,
Right.
they should.
And they may have, the last time that we actually had nationals, they may have shown the whole thing. But to be honest, that's my one thing that irks me about youth sports basketball, because I look at basketball here, especially in OUA conference. I think it's pretty on par with like the mid-major to low NCAA Division I schools. I think it's pretty much close to the same. Like when we play against those schools, we compete with those schools. Sometimes it's earlier on in August, but again, some of the youth sports schools will beat the NCAA schools. So it's just shocking to me and annoying, to be frank, that like it's not on TV. I don't understand why. And there's all of these basketball enthusiasts, basketball fans that will never come to a Canadian university game when it's actually decent quality basketball.
Exactly.
And I think we're doing the country a disservice because it should be on TV more, but it's probably not on TV more because there's not as much interest, because it's not marketed as well, and it's a whole kind of domino effect, right? But I mean, I would love for there to be more push for the Canadian basketball, whether it's through TV or marketing. I don't know what the answer is. I wish I did. Maybe I would even change my name. Actually, no, I probably wouldn't. But you know what I mean.
I got a quick suggestion. They should a tournament with maybe, like you said, lower Division I schools, ones that are kind of known but not like big tournament names, right? And start a tournament with those, a handful of D1 schools that people kind of recognize, and the Canadian teams that we can recognize, and just do like a weekend tournament or something like that and put that on television. At least that way, you have people who might be honestly youth sports snobs. People are like, oh, I don't watch Canadian basketball, but then they might watch it just to see exactly how this Canadian basketball team would do against that US team. And I think something like that can actually this product that, Sheldon.
And I'll add to that too. Unfortunately, betting is a part of all these things for interest. Right. So if there's like a way to bet on these teams and make money, that also helps. Because I feel like whenever they put any division or any tournament on those type of betting sites, for some reason viewership goes up. I know it sucks to say it, but that's just how it works too.
Go ahead, Funda. We'll give you the last thought on that. Go ahead.
It's definitely true. Like I think there's way more that can be done in order to kind of promote the sport more. The tournament is a good idea, but believe it or not, there's been a lot of good schools that have come down here and played, and I'm pretty sure it's been on television as well. I went and watched Ryerson versus Duke 2 years ago.
Oh, that's dope. See, I didn't even know about that. You see,
right.
Thing?
Was that when RJ and yes? Okay, no, okay, yeah. So they need more of that. That's what I'm saying.
Ryerson, he played McGill University.
Right. No, I remember. Right.
I forget the other team. I
forgot about that. I don't
and that's what I'm saying. More things like that need to happen. Right.
Yeah.
So good point.
All right.
All right.
One thing I wanted to add before we end the segment was that the CEBL added 3 new franchises, added another one. So now they got, they had 7. The other 3 is Montreal getting a team, Scarborough, that's right, we're getting a team, as well as I think New Brunswick, St. John. So y'all expanding your
No. I think it was it Newfoundland?
Sorry, Newfoundland. Yeah, St. John's.
Okay, yeah.
Newfoundland. My bad. Yeah,
really,
St. John's.
And
so
one last thing I want to say to the
teams.
CEBL, their marketing is
Excellent. Yeah, amazing.
A1 marketing. I'm talking from the names to the brand to everything about it. They are marketing A1.
Excellent. They're doing a great job. And I remember that that guy, he came from somewhere else. I remember reading about the founder of CEBL, but he got a loan and he's been working hard through the pandemic to get things done. So good CEBL, good job. And hopefully Funda will get a head coach job in there as well. I'm gonna put it out there. Let's go to the last segment for him.
All right. So let's go to That's Absurd.
That's absurd for him, bro. What was absurd this week? What was absurd?
Man, rapper Polo G, he spent $75,000 on floor seats to the NBA Christmas Day game for the Nets versus the Lakers. 75 grand? Absurd.
Hold up. Is that USD too? How much is that in Canadian? Yeah. Let me put this back because listen, for me in Canadian, I gotta Google 75 to Canadian. Let me look this up. So that y'all is 95,000 Canadian to watch a game. I'm gonna let our guests go ahead. Bruh.
Oh man.
It's absurd.
And KD didn't even play.
No KD, no Irving. Well, they saw LeBron. I think there was no Westbrook. I think he was still out too, because with COVID. So yeah, it was a watered down game.
Actually, no. I think Westbrook there. I think Westbrook was there, right?
He played that game. Okay.
Yeah, I think but 75 grand. It's definitely a money thing, right? But if you think about it, the Christmas Day game in itself, or the games, period, Christmas Day, I understand that the NBA has to do what they have to do, but I'm torn. I thought the product, mind you, I was in and out, didn't really watch a lot. This is the first time, like usually I'm a Christmas Day basketball watcher all day. It's the first time I can remember in forever that I was just not interested. But I'm torn because I understand they have to put a product, but I really wasn't into it. I'm going to ask you, Sheldon, though, having these players who aren't, so we just spent the start of this, the top of this, talking about 10-day guys getting their shot, how great it is. And then they get the opportunity on Christmas Day, and there's quite a drop in the product, and people aren't really watching it. And now we're looking at $75,000 for a seat is a waste and absurd. Are we being hypocritical here? What's going on, Sheldon?
I mean, you still want to see the absolute best players in the entire world. You want to see them on Christmas Day,
right?
So I mean, if anybody was going to tell me that I was going to have to pay my whole salary to watch the CEBL players, I would tell them no. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, yeah, I like seeing good players, but
I
want to see the best guy. And still, I'm not going to spend my salary on it. But for Polo G, who knows? Maybe that's like $20.
That's probably strip club money.
Yeah, so for me, I want to add that it's absurd for us, but for rich people, that ain't absurd. So yeah,
Right.
you're right, Funda.
I guess it's all relative.
Yeah, I and again, I don't even know what Polo G's bank count is like, but I don't know if it's really like that, but clearly it is. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's interesting because I didn't watch that game clearly because I thought Westbrook wasn't even there. So clearly I didn't watch the game. The only game I cared to watch that day was actually to see Giannis come back, and also to see Warriors against the Suns. I'm sorry, the Lakers, and that's without Kyrie, man. Lakers this year has been, so they're not really a high ticket. Like to watch LeBron is amazing, but I'll watch LeBron when he's coming down that he's getting older, less money, like his retirement run, whatever. But but that's just me though, because I'm not a heavy LeBron fan. There's some LeBron sexuals out there, so y'all calm down. I'm not dissing LeBron. I'm just saying I wouldn't pay that much money to watch him, play. And I'm an MJ, and I'm an MJ girl, and I wouldn't do that for MJ either. I just think that it's a pandemic. He got the money. Good for you. I just think it's hilarious that he went there without Kevin Durant, because I think the biggest ticket was seeing Kevin Durant versus LeBron, not Kevin Durant versus Harden, who don't play the same position. Like, I don't know. And also no AD was there, right? AD didn't play, right?
No. Yeah,
that's the thing. Like seeing AD with LeBron and then seeing KD with Harden and Kyrie, that would have been great. But so watch it on product, watch it on product. So it's just unfortunate. Again, no knock to you for paying that money, bro. For us, that's just absurd. Absurd.
Absurd. Yeah, Polo G literally said to Adam Silver, "Merry Christmas. Here's my 75 grand."
Yeah. Take it. I'm sorry.
Let's put this episode in the book.
All right, y'all. That was episode 72.
All right, 72.
So, Funda, as you know, we like to give our guests a chance to do a shout out. But because it's the first episode of the year, do a shout out, but also give me a goal, something you want to achieve in 2022. It could be a small goal, a big one, but let's manifest our dreams from now. So go ahead, Funda. What you got for us?
In terms of a goal for this year, I want to win 2 championships.
Ooh, let's make it happen.
The youth sports championship. Sorry, let me rewind. 3 championships. I want to win the OUA championship, which is our conference championship. I want to win the youth sports championship, and that's with McMaster. And I want to win the CEBL championship with Hamilton Honey Badgers. Those are my goals. So just want to shout out, all the GMs, especially the ones who are like my close friends in the CEBL. We kind of mentioned that there's a new franchise, the Montreal franchise. So a good friend of mine, Karl-Anthony, he's actually the GM.
Right.
Shout out to Javon Shepard, who's the GM of Ottawa Blackjacks, and my boss, GM, Jermaine Anderson. Just want to shout out those 3 guys and just what they've been able to do for Canadian basketball.
That's amazing. Shout out to them as well. I want to shout you out, Funda. So great seeing you growth, seeing you doing big things. I wish you all those 3 championships. We want a clean sweep, y'all. Let's make it happen. Vibrate that way. My shout out is just to everyone, all our podcast listeners, family, Clubhouse folks, everybody that's with the movement. Good Rookies was started with Fahim, myself, Jomo. We really wanted to just kind of create a space for us to talk ball, sports, with a Toronto Canadian, twists of things, but also highlight our people in America and Canada. And I think we were able to make a lot of connections and friendships this past year. My goal next year is to have the same type of energy, make new connections, help the people I know, network with other people that I know, help all my people elevate, grow, get better jobs, and empower themselves. So I'm manifesting all my people to be in different levels this year. Not 5 levels, Jason. Shout out to Jason. Not 5 levels, different levels this year. And I'm really hoping that we can empower each other and support each other. In Canada and Toronto, too many people want to hate. They think because I'm doing this, you can't do it too. No, there's room for all of us. Yes, even us that are Black. So let's create a community amongst ourselves so we can all help each other get to the next level. But pass the mic to Fahim.
What you said.
I know I'm messing up the order right now, but can I just? I always feel like, oh man, I should have shout out this other person too.
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
I know I'm messing up the order, but I don't always do things how we're supposed to. So I also want to shout out. I can't not shout them out. My McMaster team, the whole entire team, the whole entire coaching staff. We're in season right now, so just want to give them a big shout out as well.
Dope.
Nice. So I'll double back with that. Shout out to the McMaster team. Sheldon, I want to put some positive energy towards your big 3 requests there. We're going to make it happen this year. And, it's great to see your growth. Every time we don't speak often, but periodically when we do, there's always something new coming up the pipeline with you, which is always, it's just great. It's just great to see the growth and, just be along with on the ride with this. So you've been an amazing guest today and, you have a home here with us. I'll just piggyback off Nelly J. What you said, everything you said, times 2. I want to say even for what you mentioned about the podcast, yeah, we want to we have a village happening here of a movement, and it's all encompassing of everybody who's trying to do something. We just want to lift them up. There's power in numbers, and we recognize that regardless of whatever anyone else is doing, we're just focused on what we're doing. And, as long as we are moving with that pure heart and right spirit, we have nothing else to worry about because we know where we're going and bring everyone else with us.
Absolutely.
And that's going to be it for this episode. So let's put it in the books.
Episode 72. So y'all, if you had a good time, if you enjoyed yourself, please support Funda, follow him, check him out on Instagram. I'm going to have all his links, everything. But please subscribe to the podcast. And let's have an amazing 2022. Fahim.
You know where to look for us if we're trying to find us. We're on all platforms. Tell a friend to tell a friend. That's Good Rookies Podcast, episode 72. And we out.
Peace. Happy New Year.